It's time for the Little Agency That Roars podcast, a podcast that connects you with talented and brilliant people. And that's all of us. We are available wherever you stream your podcast, so go ahead and find us and subscribe. I'm your host, Michael Fasoni, and let's get started.
Just make sure you're
Okay.
around the mic and you're good.
Okay, well, I am sitting here with Shawn Mullane, co-owner of Exposure, Model, and Talent. Shawn, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Awesome. Thank you for coming here today.
Well, I'm glad the snow didn't keep us from doing this time.
Me too.
There is no snow, though, so it's fine.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everyone who isn't familiar with your company who you are and what you do?
Well, Exposure, Model, and Talent is a talent agency here in Kansas City. We've been open. I should know how many years, but I'll say I know it's over. We're pretty close to 30 years that we've been booking talent in Kansas City. So we book actors and models for broadcast, print, a few films when they come to town, or mostly commercials and podcasts. And actually, we don't book for podcasts, but fake podcasts that they make into commercials. And we are just an agency. We don't have a school attached to us or anything like that. We just book talent. That's what we do. We haven't been doing it a long time.
Is it fair to say that you're one of the largest agencies in the city, let alone maybe the Midwest?
Yeah, definitely. We are a good-sized agency, not so big that we can't keep up with the people we represent, but big enough to fill the needs of what the clients need. They need an ethnic mix, or they need, 3 voices instead of just one, or, so we certainly have a good amount of talent to fill those needs.
And we're going to talk about that diversity too. But would you say you're the largest in the 4-state area? 2-state?
We're one of the largest, yeah.
Okay.
One of the largest. I wouldn't say we are the largest, but we're definitely one of the largest.
Okay.
So.
You and I are a little bit different. You and I have history. Mm-hmm. And we usually don't get historical and biographical here. Do you mind if we go there?
No. Mm-mm.
Can you explain do you want to explain our relationship, how we met?
Well, when I met you, I worked for your father, and you were, I don't know what, maybe 7, 8 years old?
Maybe, yeah.
7 or 8 years old. So that's, yeah. So when we met, it was definitely a different dynamic.
It was. And I remember that I had a better understanding of the model and talent industry than I did of advertising, simply because I was more involved, in that side of things than I was in advertising. Refresh my memory, the exodus out of advertising, or Fasoni, or was it Fasoni and Garrett, or was it?
It was Fasoni Garrett then.
When you were there.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't Fasoni Garrett Bain.
No, just Fasoni Garrett.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory.
Well, I was the receptionist, and I had been.
Right.
Since that was the job I came in, and the one I was still doing, and. I loved working here, but so did everybody else, and nobody left, so there was no place for me to move to. There wasn't any job for me to move into, so I finally, thought, well, I should, start looking for something else, even though, like I said, I loved working here, and I have told people many, many times that I probably learned more from your father while I was here than I did in my 4 years at college, but... So I actually literally answered an ad in the newspaper for a talent agency then called Talent Plus. That was Talent Plus then. And they were looking for somebody to be an agent, and I went and I interviewed and I got the job. So that's, not very exciting, but that's how I wound up leaving Fasoni Garrett and getting into the talent agency business. So.
And then you left Talent Plus.
Yes.
And then you bought MTC?
No, I left Talent Plus and went to work at MTC.
You went to work at MTC when they were still in Westport.
When they were, yeah. They were above Love Records.
Right.
Over on Broadway. And then when I left MTC was when I went into exposure and went into business with my business partner, Jennifer Mangan.
MTC became Exposure, correct?
No.
It did not?
No, I just left MTC and went, and like I said, Jennifer Mangan and I, actually Jennifer had already started Exposure, and then I joined her, and we became business partners.
What became of MTC? Model Talent Charm, is that's what it stood for, correct?
That's what it stood for, yeah. To the best of my knowledge, it went out of business about 6 months after I left, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who started MTC? Didn't?
It was Connie Vitale.
That's what I thought. Didn't my father sell that to Connie?
I don't know if I know they were good friends, but I don't know that. I think she just started it on her own.
And how did you meet Jennifer?
Just through the business.
Okay.
Yeah, her husband was in the production side of things, and so that we just met through the business. Yeah.
I can remember going down when you guys were in Westport, Above Love Records or whatever it was at the time, and doing filing for you. I think when I was 15 or 16, just to keep myself busy. And of course, I was doing talent work,
Yeah.
From a very young age.
Yeah.
Very, very young
I remember
age.
you were very interested in doing that, and so we signed you up and got you a headshot, and and then hedge file things too, apparently.
Larry Levinson did my headshots.
Oh, yeah.
Who is still doing headshots. That
and
is
still
amazing.
does a darn fine headshot, too.
He does.
Oh, yeah. He's one of my favorites. Yeah.
I still refer people to him. Mm-hmm. I need to have him on here.
Oh, he'd be a great one.
How big is your roster? What do you call it? I said roster. What would you call it?
That's a good enough thing to call it. People ask me that, and I don't know. I have a definite number. I'd say probably 500 to 650.
Oh wow.
But again, we represent from 4 years old to 75 years old. So there's a lot of people in between. So.
Do you have to keep that to a certain amount?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah, so it fluctuates. We just recently had several people decide they wanted to move to LA, so
gotcha.
And
some holes
but then new people will come in, and so it fluctuates. But like I said, the thing is that we don't want to be huge, but we need to be big enough to fill that need of the client needing, I need 10 people, and I need, an ethnic mix, and I need an age mix, and I need and we have to have enough people to fill all of that. So
let's stay there, because that's one of the questions I wanted to discuss. How difficult is it to keep that type of diversity constant? Because like you said, your clients need African American, short, bald, this, that, gray hair, young.
Yeah, and it is difficult. It really is that, when we get the call that, okay, we want to cast this, but we only want to see Hispanic or African American. Well, that narrows down the number of people we can have, audition for it or submit for it or, whatever. But it's also a good thing. It's a good thing that's out there. And, we even get calls, occasionally they want, same-sex couples or, mixed couples or, that kind of thing, which definitely feels good that, those doors are opening. So.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine that would be one of the tougher parts, being diverse so that your clients can, because there are a lot more options. There may be fewer tactile in person, brick and mortar options, kind of like you have, but there's a lot of options online now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not saying they're as good, but obviously our attention's been fragmented a little bit. So you probably have a constant influx of inquiries to you, or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's probably not hard finding the talent, just more so just weeding them out.
Yeah. and it is, it's a process of, people submit their materials, and then we have to meet with them and talk with them about, what their availability is like, and, that kind of thing. We may get some great, guy in, has a great resume, but he has a 9-to-5 job and can only work on the weekends. Well, that's not gonna, we don't book very much stuff on the weekends. So, we kind of have to figure out, who's going to be a good fit, and, who we think is going to work. So, but again, it takes all kinds of people. So, sometimes you get we want the good looking guy, and sometimes we want the charactery guy. So, we have,
right.
We don't necessarily look at it that way as much as just, are they a good talent? Are they good, flexible? And, everybody once in a while can't do something, but, but good flexibility, good availability is a, big thing. And, so, we look at lots of people.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, in terms of that flexibility, being on the client side, using you, working with you for over 20 years, you're able to pivot so quickly. Because in our industry, in advertising, often we need things fast.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And not even the end result. We need all of the preliminary stuff before we can even make that fast decision, and we need that from you.
Right.
And, kudos to you and your team, because you guys, whether it's delivering, spec reads the same day, or I remember once, I forgot what the audition was for, but you had one of your gentleman sent in an audition. I think he had like his lunch break, and his guitar was in his car, and he did his audition right there in his car over his lunch break, because that's when he could do it.
Yeah.
And that speaks to that industry and that type of person who's being represented by exposure. They have gone and are ready. It's gone for hire. That's probably maybe a bad way to say it, but that's how it came out.
No, but that's exactly it. We get stuff. Sometimes we have a week to put an audition together. Sometimes we have 2 days. So, being able to get that done, get it I had one last week. I probably shouldn't say who it was for, but I'll just say it was a retail place, and one guy went actually to the parking lot of that place and shot his audition. I'm like, now that guy wants that job.
And when you watch those auditions on our end, that guy gets moved to the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Good or bad. Whether the audition is good or bad, because if your heart's there,
exactly,
well, you can usually coach the rest out of a person.
Can I quote you on that?
Absolutely, you can.
Tell our talent that.
Absolutely, you can. I'd love to do not lunch and learns, but whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I used to do those with Hoffman. From time to time, but so I want to go back to the headshot part, because I've encountered talent recently where their headshots aren't doing them justice. Mm-hmm. How do you stay in front of 500 people to let them know?
It's very, very difficult. It really is. We go, say we're doing a casting for something, and you start going through the, who you'd like to submit for it, and it's like, oh boy, I'd love to submit Bob, but that headshot's 5 years old. He doesn't even look like that anymore. So then, but the other side of that I think is part of why people aren't as good about keeping up with their headshots is that, now, I can call Bob and say, send me a selfie, and I can send that on, and now we know exactly what he looks like today. Whereas when I started in this business, that's not how you could do things. So, but yeah, it's all, that has been something, well, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but, something we've been fighting, always. You need a more current headshot. You need a more current headshot. Mm-hmm. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any more advice on that?
Well, like I said, the important thing is that if I send the headshot to somebody and they book you, they expect you to look like that when you show up. So, making sure your headshot is current and looks like you is very important. Now, or on the other hand, if, okay, I here's my headshot, and I went and I, cut my hair in a mohawk last week, let me know that and send me a picture. Don't have me send the headshot that doesn't look like you. So, which again, is something you can do now. Whereas, back in the olden days, I pulled headshots and sent them to a client, and that was the end of it. So.
Yeah, you had to have 500 copies on hand if you were an actor or actress.
Yeah.
That way you could send them out.
Yep.
What's the most difficult part of a booking that most people don't know about, including people in the industry like myself?
Oh, well, I'd say for me, one of the most difficult parts is the, sorry you didn't get the job. Personally, that's a hard part, especially, when, we've narrowed it down to these two people and you let them know and eventually you have to tell the one person they didn't get it. That's hard. But if you just mean, in the process of it, sometimes it's just getting the information. We do bookings and, we have 3 people booked on Friday and it's 6:00 on Thursday before we even know their call time and their location. I understand from the other side of things, they're getting it done as fast as they can. But, when you have your talent or calling you up and, did we know anything yet? Where am I supposed to be? So.
I apologize.
Well, everybody does it. Everybody does it. So, and most of the talent who've been doing this long enough understand that. I'm booked on Friday. I'm not going to know till Thursday, and not going to know anything till Thursday. But still, that's probably the hardest part. So.
Can you make a living in Kansas City as an actor or model?
You can.
A voiceover artist?
You can. I know a lot of on-camera actors make a living doing both, the broadcast, my side of things, and doing theater, doing both things. And there are some who just make a living doing voiceover, especially now that, you don't even have to go into a studio. People have their home studios. They can record, for anybody anywhere. And so, I'm sure there's lots of, voiceover people who do. And there's actors here. I've always said, one of the reasons I think we have such good acting base here in Kansas City is because there is a good theater community here. And because, Joe the actor can work in theater and work with me and earn a living, he stays here. So, it's a good circle that, one helps the other. So
I want to take a bit of a turn.
Okay.
And you can tell me you want to avoid this topic by all means. But I wanted to bring up Tom Hanks coming out and saying he would never remake Philadelphia because he's not a gay man. Robert Downey Jr.'s role being cut or whatever scene or movie being cut because he was going to play Hispanic and he's not Hispanic. Do you agree with this?
I have always agreed that, it's the talent's choice what they do or don't want to do. We run into that with political ads. I'll get a call and they want, somebody to do an ad for, this guy running for governor. And he said, no, thank you. I'm not supporting that guy running for governor. So, and I respect that, that's their decision. And occasionally we get some things that are, kind of, or maybe it's a film that's a little on the shade, the storyline's a little shady and maybe somebody didn't want their kids in there, So I always respect what, it's always their decision if they want to do the job or not.
It doesn't feel like it's their decision. It feels like it's a statement they have to make to be public-facing and be accepted almost.
Well, maybe with Tom Hanks, but, I don't represent Tom Hanks. So.
Right. And that's fair.
Yeah.
And you're doing a good job of answering the question.
Well, thanks.
But, I feel that film, theater, is an art. And I think that when you start to edit that art, then it doesn't become art anymore. And we've had this discussion with other people, and I've understand the viewpoints. But, to me, art is show me love without writing LOVE. Mm-hmm. Tell me you're sad without standing up and saying, I'm sad. So it's really having to be artful with whatever the medium is, photography, video, voice. So it's hard to see an actor say that they won't act.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as far as taking on a role, I understand what you're saying. They're an actor. If I say, be a drunk guy on the corner, you could be a drunk guy on the corner. And most actors do that. Can handle things that way. But again, I think it's just when it's a matter of something that, maybe the actor's dad was a drunk on the corner and he doesn't want to play that role. So, yeah, then again, I respect that. So, but it doesn't mean that the next guy won't do it. So,
I just wish that whether it's being the drunk on the corner or the gay man or the Hispanic or the African American, it can be seen as acting, not as a political or cultural statement, because I think it's art. Anyway, thank you for letting me go there. I can tell you don't want to sit there for too long, and we won't. So modeling versus acting within your agency, within exposure. What's kind of your breakdown?
Well, when I first started in this business, there was a lot more print work than there is now. The Jones store shot, ads weekly for the newspaper. And there was just a lot more print work than there is now. The print work in Kansas City has also always been and still is more commercial print than fashion print. It's not, we're not booking people for Vogue magazine. We're booking people for Price Chopper, shopping in the grocery store. So it's always been more of a commercial print. Not to say that they don't want a very pretty person shopping at the Price Chopper, but it's not fashion photography as much as it is, slice of life kind of photography. So, but there, like I said, there isn't as much print as there was when I first started in this business. And then, of course, actors are actors. They're going to play a part. So that's although again, sometimes, they want, even in the commercial, they want the good-looking lady in the grocery store that hopefully can also act, as opposed to they're just going to book an actor. So,
well, in a city like Kansas City, the more you can do, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I was always taught as a child.
Yes, definitely.
As a child actor, Michael, do voices, do theater, do commercial, do short format.
Definitely.
I did a short format. I'll never forget it. For Gertie Max, the Systemizer, at Metro Productions. It was amazing because they had craft services. I got, it was a 2-week gig. I got time off of school. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but I forgot what I was talking about. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I do want to talk about the difference it makes in a good actor, especially a good voiceover. Because on the agency side, we can order voices all day long online.
Yeah.
And you get what you pay for. But too many times, I've walked into the studio with a script that I knew was good, and one of your talents made it amazing. And there's no substitute for that. There's no substitute for talent.
Yeah.
And it's more than that. Because talent's, as Rodney Mullen says, talent's around. It's easy to find. But when you combine that, with this intangible will, well, and I don't want to say anyone by name, but, you have some real stars out there. And I have my go-tos, and they know who they are.
Yeah.
And I think they're amazing. And they're amazing humans, seemingly. But what they do for the art and what they do for the industry is amazing. I'll never forget doing a Plaza holiday lighting spot, and this was way over 10 years ago. And I think it was like a 15-second. It was a nothing, it was just a quickie. But we had budget. We hired talent, Sarah Crawford, and I think there was a line in there, I'm vague on it, but it was something like 150,000 sparkling lights, just talking about the Plasing lighting ceremony. And the way she read it, the way she lit up the entire booth and the edit suite, it turned it from a 15-second spot into just 15-second theater.
Yeah.
And that's really the difference between a quick fix and what I guess I would say is custom couture, booked professional talent.
Well, and I've always said in regard to voiceover talent, we get, have always had people, call up and say, oh, well, people tell me all the time I have a really great voice. And having a really great voice is one thing. Knowing how to use it is a totally different thing. And it's a skill. And it's some of it learned, some of it just instinct and comes by naturally. And, so the dentist that called me and said, but my patients tell me all the time I have such a great voice, I ought to do voiceover. I'm like, you probably ought to stick with the dental work. If I had a dime for every one of those phone calls I had, everybody tells me I have a great voice. And then, well, you do, but do you know how to use it is a whole other thing.
And not only use it, Shawn, but you have to look at something not me, but you have to look at words on a script. And you have to interject your personality into them or also listen to one or three or four other people tell you what to do at the exact same time. Oh, and let's not forget, act natural.
Yeah.
So take these 6 bullet points, listen to 3 people bark at you, go when we say jump, and act natural.
And act natural. And say it over again.
But, I did not want to have you on here and not mention what a service professional acting, voiceover, modeling makes. The more you can cross over as one of those individuals, the better.
Definitely.
If you can be, I'm trying to think of a name. I don't want to single anyone out, but anyway, let's do technology, because I like that. On your website, for example, exposure model, exposuretalent.com.
Yeah, info at exposure.
That's
our email.
That's your email.
Cut that part out. Exposureinc.com.
Exposureinc.com. Thank you. We can go on now and we can listen to audio samples. Some actors, actresses have video uploaded. You can sort easier now. You have a good navigation tool. It saves a lot of time, like you talked about, versus you going through a file drawer and pulling 8x10s and putting those in a manila envelope and having them couriered over to me, and hopefully they get there the same day.
Right.
I can do all that busy work myself.
Yeah.
So technology has also recognized that, and they've come up with these websites where people like me and Tim over here can order a voiceover for our commercials at a fourth, a tenth of the rate. I think the answer is obvious. Have you felt the impact of that? Or is that a different audience? It's a client, I mean.
I think we
or is
probably
is there enough milk for everybody?
Well, I think we probably felt that a little bit. But I think also when, we still get the calls and the emails, and and sometimes I even think, well, they ought to just hire so and so because that's exactly what they're asking for. But I'll go ahead and have 6 people do auditions because I'd rather them hear my people than finding it somewhere else. So we may have lost some, but I think when they really know what they want and they know that I'm going to be able to find it, that's when we're going to hear from people, and that's a lot of the time. So,
but have you felt a decrease in, I'll be specific, agency business, a slight decrease maybe in voiceover work?
No, I don't think so. No.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the answer I want to hear.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Good, because I do know that that's more and more robust. Do you think that there'll be a point where they try to bring video online as well?
be to.
For example, I can book voice online. Do you think they'll get to a point where I can almost audition video online?
Well, there is, there's a group called Casting Networks that we get auditions from all the time. But they're still having us. So you're saying you can just go on and order, or not order an audition.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I could order an audition, and then of course, I would have to pay the expenses to fly that. Yeah.
You probably could. But again, I think you're also at that point you're not getting the agency buffer of us sending you what you're looking for, as opposed to the guy who just thinks he can do it. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And explain that though for people who aren't in our industry. That agency buffer.
Well, so we get a call from the client, and they're looking for, they need a guy, 25 to 35 who is going to be the on-camera person, and here's their script and their lines, and we want a goofy guy. So, we know who can do goofy, or we know who can do serious, or maybe the same guy can do both, but we're going to give them what they're looking for, as opposed to just anybody in that age range. So, that's the service that we offer, or, the buffer that we can provide by going through an agency.
How would you say you're different than other local agencies?
Well, mostly just that we've been doing this a long time. Everybody in our office, there are 4 of us, my business partner, Jennifer Mangan, and Teray Capers, and Dave Keith, who all have been working for us for, I don't know, since probably like the 1920s or something. But, but we've all been there. And, before Terry was with us, she was a kid agent in New York. And before Dave was with us, he worked for a production company. So he's got that background. So we just have a lot of experience. We have a lot of experience and know what's what. So
would you say it's your people too? Not your staff, your product.
We have wonderful, wonderful talent that we represent. And again, some that I've been repping for so long, I couldn't even tell you how long. I mean, Kathy Barnett and Walter Coppage and Jennifer Mays and Scott Cortez. I mean, I've been repping, a long time. Mm-hmm. Civil War, I think, was when that all started.
Are you a big media consumer?
I watch a lot of television.
Do you?
That's about it.
What do you watch?
Oh, I watch the Food Network, much to my husband's chagrin. I watch a lot of Food Network, and a few other. I'm a Grey's Anatomy fan, and some things like that. I don't know. I tend to, television's my zoning out, so I do watch a lot of television.
What's Shawn Mullane's favorite talent? National. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a fave?
Oh, Well,
you have a celeb crush?
I don't think I've had a celeb crush in a while. I was going to say I like Tom Hanks, but I don't know now that I've heard that. But
well, that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
so.
Do you have a certain actor or actress you enjoy watching?
Well, I'm trying to think. Like I said, Tom Hanks is the one that comes to mind, but maybe because but I'm sure there's others, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Any young talent that has you excited?
Well, I don't keep up with that kind of stuff as much as I probably should.
Okay.
My own talent maybe, but not, I don't keep up with that as much as I should. And actually, and Jennifer, my business partner, does do that. She keeps up with a lot of that, a lot more so than I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to get her on
which
here
we're a good
sometime.
balance. We're a good balance, she and I.
It takes that in a partnership.
Yeah.
It feels like maybe over the last, I don't know, 5 to 6 years, we've gotten more maybe national productions.
Yeah, here
is that just a
locally.
feeling,
Yeah.
or is that true?
Yeah, definitely.
Is that because we're economical? Is it because we're cheap?
No, I think in regard to commercial work and stuff, I think it's just the agencies are bringing it in. So, and of course, because I'm on the other side of it, I don't know how they're doing it, but they are, and I'm not going to argue. So,
Sure, okay.
Internet and new media and all that stuff has changed a lot of things. In the old days, you either wanted to do a commercial, an on-broadcast video, or print. Now, of course, there's, there's internet and websites and
that takes the geography away from it almost.
Yeah, it's changed, amazingly changed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's also offered up a lot more work. So.
How has exposure been able to stay around as long as it has? Because you do have competition in market, you have competition out of market, you have internet competition, and you're still at the top of your pile.
We just, like I said, first off, again, all we do is book talent, and that's all we've always done, and that's always our focus. So if you're the talent that you represent, what that means to you is that hopefully you know that we're always going to put you in on as much as we possibly can, and get you auditioned for as many things as we can, and all of that. And from the other side of it, for the people, the clients who are calling us, that again, we know what we're doing. We know our people. We know, how things work. We know who's the best person for the job. We know how to get them the right auditions. And I think, again, I think it's just, it's pretty unusual for a place to have the same 4 people for 20 years like we have. So
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked what you said there, and I forgot what I was going to say. What do you think is next for exposure? Do you guys have a next, or is it just keep going?
Nope, just keep going. Just keep going. There's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, isn't that the way that saying goes? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, that's right.
I think so.
So, yeah, we're just going to keep, we've adapted, working from home as opposed to always being in the office every day, and, all of those kinds of things. But, we can still do everything just fine. So, we...
Are you currently at home?
I work from home a little bit. We all do. I mean, we all go in and we all work from home some. So, again, because we can. We all learned how to do that over the, pandemic. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I want to sell for you a little bit and educate people as well. Your company makes money when you book talent.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're not charging them fees up front. You're not even charging them for their headshot work.
Right.
That's done by a different person.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They come to you with their headshots and their materials.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you make, your team makes their decisions from there.
Mm-hmm.
Your agency makes money off of bookings.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think not all agencies work that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important to at least mention.
Yeah, and it's it's like we tell our talent too. If you're not working making money, neither are we. So
right.
That's why it's important we get as many people working as we can. So I booked a job a couple of weeks ago, which I probably can't say again who it was for, but I booked 125 extras over a week.
Wow.
Actually, no, I think it dropped to about 119 after ebb and flow, but that's a lot. That was a lot of people.
Is that as busy as it sounds like?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that a 60, 70-hour week? Or is it just a really full week?
Yeah, it was just a really full week. Because
week.
I was working with really good people, though. That's, because we worked well together, and that it could have been worse, in other words, so...
That has to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is fun. It really is. To do that, get that many people working in a week is pretty fun.
Was it a film gig?
No. It was a commercial.
Nice. What do you wish people knew about your industry that they don't? Is there a stigma? when you're out and you meet someone at a dinner party or whatever, and you tell someone what you do, is there usually there's one or three questions that everyone asks, you know what I mean? And
Well,
they're usually not, they're usually a little off.
Well, my son is interested in acting.
Let me show you my daughter.
Yeah, well, and as long as we're going to do that, I will talk about kids. We represent some absolutely amazing kids that can do anything you ask them to, and don't mind being at a shoot at 6:30 in the morning, and they represent some terrific kids. But the one thing we've always been very, very specific about is that it has to be the kid that wants to do it, not mom and dad want him to do it or she to do it. So that it's got to be that the kid loves it, and that's kids, we may rep a kid 3 or 4 years and he does real great, and then he decides he wants to play soccer instead, and we say best of luck to you. And if when you're 18 you want to come back, let us know. So and I've actually done that. I've had kids go away and come back as grown-ups, and but it's kids, it really has to be their passion that, and, everybody also knows, sometimes, a 5-year-old isn't going to be, spot on every single day. The folks at Hallmark, book a lot of kids. They know that. But the important thing is that, again, it's, maybe he's having a bad day. It's not because he doesn't want to be there. So. Right. Do you book animals? No. Mm-mm. We do. Actually, I take that back. Once in a while, we have had bookings happen where they want somebody and their dog. Because then, the dog knows who you are and you know who the dog is, or your cat or whatever occasionally. But we, once in a blue moon, have, booked a pet, just the pet.
Is there a local agency for that?
I don't think so. I don't think there is anybody who
just
books.
Friends and family?
Yeah. I also don't think there's anybody who books jingles. And we get that call all the time. There's not a jingle agency, is there?
Wait, you get calls for jingles?
No, we get the talent want to know if they can do jingles. And I don't know who does jingles. All this time I've been in this business, I don't know who does jingles.
Well, we do them. I mean,
I know, but where do you get your talent?
You.
Oh, okay. So you're the one. Okay, yeah.
Or we use a.
Well, that's right. You have booked singers for me before.
We'll use the a lot of times the production house that has the music, especially if you're gonna do like a sing-alike. Mm-hmm. The production house will have. In-house,
okay, that's how I do it. I know you have asked us to, book talent for singing before, but it's not very common. I will say so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What else isn't?
Well, no, we do just about everything else. We commercials and films. We haven't had a big film through here in quite a while, but we helped out some guy last week who's doing his student film for something. I don't remember what it was, but we helped him out with that. Figure, work is work. So. Mm-hmm. So.
When a film does come to town and they use multiple agencies, do you guys have to work together, or do you work through the film company?
Well, we work through the film company. So the film company, books the talent, and we just work directly, And that's true of, everything, a big production, there may be, 3 different agencies have talent on that production, and we just deal directly with the producers. Mm-hmm. So.
Shawn, what else would you like to say?
I don't know. I already told you I learned a lot from your dad. I was thinking about that on the way over. I can't think of anything.
Do you see yourself doing this for much longer?
Oh, I would hope to retire someday, but I imagine I'll just keep doing it until I do, so... I don't know that I know how to do anything else anymore.
Well, you're so good at it. You've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
You're so successful.
My daughter graduated from college about a year and a half ago, and had, job interview, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't give you any advice on a job interview because I haven't been on a job interview in a really, really long time. So,
what's her passion?
She actually she graduated from Drake University in Des Moines, and she has two degrees, one in graphic arts and one in journalism, but not writing journalism, but design journalism. I forget what the actual name of it is, but but she did an internship with the Harkin Institute her last semester of school, and they hired her on what was supposed to be just for the summer, and she's still there. So, but they had a big shakeup, and so she's kind of still up in the air what she's going to do there. But the Harkin Institute was started by Senator Tom Harkin, and they are advocates for people with handicaps. So,
oh wow!
And so she does, press releases but more like again design stuff. She designs the brochures or things like that. So.
No interest to enter the industry?
No, She doesn't. We always joked about, and someday we'll give this to our kids, and I don't want to work. I don't want to be a talent agent. So.
Can being a talent agent be a late night job?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah. It's again, if you got people working tomorrow and you don't get their information till 7:00 at night, then that's when you send it. It's not late night every night, and and not everybody. Sometime yesterday I had people working today. Yesterday I got all their info at 3:00 in the afternoon, so I was done. So it's. It just day to day, job to job. That's one of the things I've always said. No two jobs are ever the same. We do. That we may have been looking for, kids who play baseball today, or tomorrow we're looking for old couples in nursing homes, or not nursing homes, where they're assisted living is what they call that now.
What's your current need? Where are you light?
I'd say male actors, like 25 to 45. We had several people who've decided they wanted to go to the East Coast or the West Coast, or not anything to do with us. Just they, sometimes you got to do it. You got to reach out, strike out. So, but yeah, we're kind of in looking for that for sure. But again, we're always looking for good talent regardless.
So where can people send their information to?
If they go to the Exposure website, which is exposureinc.com, you can click on the submission guidelines on the left side of the main screen, and it tells you exactly what you need to do to send stuff in.
What are the guidelines? I'm curious.
It's you have to send in your current measurements and current picture and resume, and it just it's like people call all the time, and I always say, well, until we see you, we can't tell if you're somebody we can represent. So you have to send that stuff into us, which again is like not like the old days where we get the mail and you'd open up headshots and resumes, and you had to call, no, we're not interested. So but like I said, we're always on the lookout for anybody who's good. We not necessarily quote good, but people we really feel we can find work for. So
when you're in public, do you ever approach people? Is it hard not to?
Once in a while I do. I don't do it very often, but once in a while I do. If it's somebody I really feel feel is somebody we should rep. So
it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of awkward too.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
I always think
not
they're
for
not
you,
going to believe me. Like, oh yeah, right. You're with a talent agent.
Do you have to show them your card?
Yeah. Which boy, I need to order some of those. But anyway, so yeah, it's particularly after seeing some good theater or something, especially I like to. Okay, you have an agent. If you don't, you need to come talk to me. So.
Well, Shawn, I think you're amazing.
Well, thank you.
I've known you a very long time.
Yep.
You have amazing people. You deliver an amazing product. And unless you have anything else to say, I want to thank you for being here.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
All right.
This was fun. I was nervous, and now I'm okay.
No need to be nervous. Shawn, I thank you. Let me shake your hand. Let's get going.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Little Agency That Roars podcast. Be sure to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on FasoniPartners.com under podcast. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, and leave a review. If you want to submit an interview or submit yourself for an interview, please email roar@FasoniPartners.com. That's ROAR @FasoniPartners.com. Thanks.